You're sitting at a red light in your $87,000 Ford F-250 King Ranch Edition. And you feel like a king. But what if I told you that truck is quietly draining your bank account faster than you realize? The leather seats smell new. The dashboard lights up like a spaceship. And when you drive past that Prius, you sit 6 inches higher than everyone else. You feel powerful. You feel confident. You feel like a man who can handle anything life throws at him. But here's the kicker. You actually work in it, sort of. Your job doesn't involve construction, farming, or towing. In the last 8 months, the bed of your truck has carried only 3 things: a bag of mulch from Lowe's, your kid's bicycle, and a case of Costco water bottles. Meanwhile, you were losing money so fast it as like you, we're helping Ford make money every quarter. Hi, I'm Mike. I teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. Subscribe and like this video if it helps you. Today we're going to figure out the real cost of this pavement princess trend. Not what the dealer tells you, not what your friends say to justify it. We're talking the actual numbers that make your monthly payment look harmless, when it's anything but. Somewhere between 2015 and now, American men decided that being masculine could be bought with monthly payments on a truck made for construction work. And the math behind that decision is so bad it makes buying lottery tickets look smart. Let's start with the price of the truck, because that's where your brain stops working. The average new pickup truck in America costs $62,000. That's not a fancy version. That's the average. If you want the one that makes you feel like a ranch owner, the King Ranch, the Laramie Longhorn, or whatever name sounds tough, you're looking at $75,000 to $95,000. For comparison, that's more than most people make in a year. The median household income in America is $84,000. You're buying a vehicle that costs more than your family makes in an entire year. Let that sink in while we look at the total cost. The dealer sits you down and shows you the monthly payment. $1,247. That might sound manageable if it's spread over 84 months. That's 7 years. You'll be making payments on this truck longer than most marriages last. $1,247 seems doable until you add all the other costs they don't mention on the test drive. First, fuel. Your F-250 gets about 15 miles per gallon if you're lucky. A Honda Accord gets 35 miles per gallon. Let's say you drive 15,000 miles a year, which is average. At gas prices around $3.50 per gallon, your truck costs $3,500 a year in fuel. The sedan would cost $1,500. That's $2,000 extra per year, or $167 per month, just because you wanted to sit higher than everyone else. Next, insurance. People might say trucks are cheaper to insure, and for liability they are. But you're not insuring a work truck. You're insuring a $90,000 luxury vehicle. If you total a Camry, the bank loses $30,000. If you total your Platinum F-250, they lose $90,000. That high replacement cost makes your insurance much higher, about $60 to $80 extra per month compared to a sedan. Now tires. Those huge all-terrain tires you needed, even though you only drive on asphalt, cost $2,500 to $2,000 for a full set. You'll need to replace them every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. A sedan's tires might only cost $600. That's another $50 to $75 per month if we spread the cost out. Maintenance is bigger too. Bigger vehicle, bigger everything. Oil changes cost more because the engine holds more oil. Brake jobs cost more because the parts are bigger. Everything costs more. That's another $100 per month compared to a regular car. We haven't even talked about registration and property taxes. Many states tax vehicles based on value. On a $90,000 truck, registration could be $800 to $1,200 a year, depending on where you live. Let's say that's another $80 per month. Add it up. Truck payment, $1,247. Extra gas, $167. Insurance, $60. Tires, $75. Maintenance, $100. Registration, $80. Your total monthly cost is now $1,129. But we're not done. You didn't pay cash. You financed it at 7.2% interest because rates aren't as low as they used to be. Your credit is good, but not perfect. Over 84 months, you're paying $14,748 in interest alone. That's $14,748 in pure interest, money you gave to a bank just to borrow money for a vehicle that loses value. Now let's compare it to buying a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for $28,000. Your payment would be about $450 per month. Insurance. $180 per month. Gas, $125 per month. Maintenance, minimal. Total monthly cost, roughly $850. The difference between the truck and the sedan is $879 per month. That's $10,548 per year. Over 7 years of payments, choosing the truck instead of the sedan will cost you $73,136 to $83,000. That's not an exaggeration. That's not fuzzy math. That's the real cost of wanting to feel like you could tow a boat you don't own to a lake you never visit. But here's what makes it even worse. You're not just spending $73,136 extra. You're also losing the money you could have earned if you invested that money. If you took the $879 per month difference and invested it in a simple index fund making 8% per year, after 7 years you'd have $95,000. You could buy a lake house. You could buy the boat. You could actually become the person you pretend to be when you drive that truck. Instead, you're stuck in traffic, using expensive fuel, and making payments on a truck that loses $15,000 the moment you drive it off the lot. And that doesn't even include the stress. One unexpected expense, one job loss, or one medical bill could make it impossible to pay the $1,120 per month. You're not driving a truck. You're driving a financial stress machine with big tires. The question isn't whether you can afford the monthly payment. The question is, what is that payment taking away from your future? Let's see what happens when you slowly ruin your finances over 7 years while thinking you're being smart. The truck doesn't just cost money. It changes your whole financial life like a black hole changes space. Every decision for the next 10 years is affected by that $1,129 monthly payment. First, the house you can't buy. Banks look at something called your debt-to-income ratio. They want your total monthly debts to be under 43% of your gross income. That truck payment alone uses 26% of an $85,000 salary before you even try to get a mortgage. You just priced yourself out of buying a $350,000 house because you wanted to look tough at the Starbucks drive-thru. Then there's the vacation you can't take. Your friends are planning a week in Colorado. Flights, $400. Airbnb split, $300. Lift tickets, $500. Total, $1,200. You check your bank account. You just made the truck payment. You have $600 left until Friday. You tell your friends you're too busy. They go without you. You stay home and wash the truck in your driveway, telling yourself that cleaning it is basically a hobby. There's also the emergency fund that never happens. Financial advisors say you need 6 months of expenses saved. For you, that's about $18,000. But after truck payments, insurance, rent, student loans, and groceries, you only have maybe $200 left each month. At that rate, it will take 7.5 years to build an emergency fund. That means for 7.5 years, you're one broken transmission away from a credit card disaster. And speaking of credit cards, let's talk about the debt you create because of the truck. You can't afford new things, so you put $400 on your Visa. Your friend's wedding is out of state, so you put the hotel on the card. Christmas comes, you have nothing saved for gifts, so you put $800 on the card. Within 2 years, you have a $6,000 balance at 23% interest. You pay $115 per month just in interest. You're paying a bank for things you already bought. Now, the stress on your relationship. If you're married or living with a partner, that truck payment is like a third person in your relationship. Every money discussion is about it. Your partner wants to save for a down payment. You can't because of the truck. They want to fix the leaking roof. You can't because of the truck. They suggest selling the truck. You get defensive because you've tied your identity to it. Resentment grows. The truck isn't just costing money. It's costing peace of mind. Here's something no one tells you. Expensive vehicles make you afraid to take risks at work. You can't quit the job you hate because you need the paycheck to pay for the truck. You can't ask for a raise because you're scared of losing the job. You can't start a business or change careers because the truck keeps you tied to stability. That $90,000 status symbol just made you a wage slave. And the worst part, the truck doesn't make you happy after a few months. There's something called hedonic adaptation. You get used to anything. The first week, climbing in feels amazing. You feel successful. You feel powerful. But by week 12, it's just your car. The thrill is gone. You don't even notice the leather seats anymore. But the payment is forever. The insurance bill comes every month like clockwork. You traded permanent financial stress for temporary happiness. Let's imagine two versions of you in parallel universes. Universe A, you bought the $90,000 truck. You're paying, stressed about money, and stuck in your job. Universe B, you bought the $28,000 sedan and invested the $879 monthly difference. After 7 years, Universe A has a truck worth maybe $45,000 and no savings. Universe B has a car worth $12,000 and $95,000 in investments. Which version of you is winning? Here's where some of you disagree, but I use my truck. I haul stuff, I go off-roading, I tow my camper. Okay, if you really use the truck every week, fine, you're buying a tool. But be honest, most truck owners use the bed maybe 6 times a year. You could rent a U-Haul for $29.99 each time and save $80,000 in 7 years. You're not buying usefulness, you're buying a costume. The auto industry spent billions convincing American men that trucks show masculinity, competence, and being a real man. They made a whole story around it. Commercials show trucks climbing mountains and towing muddy boats. They don't show the reality. A guy in business clothes, stuck in traffic, listening to a podcast while making payments that ruin his net worth. And the dealerships are part of it. They don't care if you can afford it. They care if you can fog a mirror and get financing. They get you into the showroom and run the numbers. Okay, $147 per month for 84 months. Does that work? You think, I make $7,000 a month, so yeah. But you're not thinking about insurance, gas, tires, registration, or that you just tied up 18% of your income for 7 years. This is the part where people usually say, there's a trick, a loophole, a way to have the truck and still be financially safe. But there isn't. The math doesn't lie. That truck is a luxury item pretending to be necessary. Over the payment period, it will cost you $80,000 to $120,000 more than a practical alternative. The only way to win is to stop playing this game. And I mean literally, not just some motivational nonsense. You have to stop buying into the truck as identity mindset. Here's what that really looks like. You go to a dealership, not for a truck, but for the most boring, reliable sedan you can find. A Honda Accord, a Toyota Camry, or maybe a Mazda 3 if you want something slightly better. Buy it used, about 3 years old, with cash if possible. If not, finance it for 36 months at most, not 84. Your payment is $350 instead of $1,100. That's $750 a month you just saved for yourself. What do you do with that $750? You could invest it and have $95,000 in 7 years like we calculated. But let's be honest, you won't invest every dollar. You'll spend some because you're human and need enjoyment. Spend it on things that actually make your life better. Take the vacation you've been putting off. Buy a nice dinner. Upgrade your mattress because you spend a third of your life on it. The difference is, these things don't tie you down for 7 years. The truck lobby convinced a whole generation of American men that driving a sedan makes you less capable, less prepared, less masculine. It's brilliant marketing, but it's also completely false. Your grandfather probably drove a station wagon and built his own house. What you drive has nothing to do with your skills. It has everything to do with your money sense. Let's talk about the "but it holds its value" argument. Trucks lose value slower than sedans. A truck might lose 40% of its value in 5 years, while a sedan loses 55%. Sounds good, right? But you start with $90,000 for the truck versus $28,000 for the sedan. That truck lost $36,000. The sedan lost $15,400. You still lost more money on the truck. Percentages don't matter as much as the actual dollar loss. And the "I might need it" argument. You might need a motorcycle for traffic. You might need a minivan if you have 4 kids. You might need a sports car if you start racing. But we don't buy vehicles for 2% hypothetical situations. We buy them for what we do 95% of the time. And 95% of the time, you're driving alone on paved roads. The real question is, are you buying this truck because you need it or because it makes you feel a certain way? If it's the second, that's fine. Just admit it. Say, I'm spending $40,000 extra over 7 years to feel like the type of person who owns a truck. Own it. But don't pretend it's practical. There's a term in economics, Veblen goods. These are things where people want them more because they're expensive, like luxury watches, designer handbags, and yes, expensive pickup trucks that never leave the road. You're not buying transportation. You're buying a sign that says, I can afford this payment, even if you can't. Here's my real advice. If you already own the truck and you're drowning, sell it. I don't care if you owe more than it's worth. I don't care if it feels like losing. You're not staying on a sinking ship to save pride. Take the financial hit now. Buy something reasonable. Stop losing money. Yes, you'll lose some on the sale, but less than if you keep paying for 5 more years. If you don't own the truck yet, but you're thinking about it, I'll save you $80,000 and 7 years of stress. Don't do it. Just don't. Go test drive a boring sedan. Sit in it. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It gets you to work. When you're in traffic, you won't be stressing about whether you can afford it. The car industry has built an empire convincing you that you're not enough unless you drive expensive vehicles. They use your insecurities and turn them into monthly payments. The only way to win is to see through it. You don't need the truck. You never did. What you need is breathing room in your budget, options in your career, and the ability to sleep without checking your bank account. The boring sedan gives that. The $90,000 truck takes it away. Next time you're at a dealership and the salesperson shows you the leather steering wheel, heated seats, and 17 cup holders, remember, they're not selling you a car. They're selling you a financial prison with nice seats. And when your friend shows up at a barbecue in his new F-350 and asks what you drive, you can tell the truth. You're driving a paid-off Camry. Gas and insurance cost $200 a month. And the money you're not spending on truck payments? You just booked a trip to Italy. You're sleeping 8 hours a night. Your retirement account actually has money in it. That's not losing. That's winning. Winning so much that most people don't even recognize it, because we've been taught to measure success by monthly payments instead of freedom. The math is clear. The truck is a trap. The only way out is to stop pretending spending $80,000 over 7 years makes you a man. Real strength is looking at the numbers, admitting you were sold a lie, and choosing the path that builds wealth instead of the path that only looks like it on Instagram. Buy the boring car. Keep your money. Build your life. If you want to take control of your money and build real wealth, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.